Hi guys, happy Sunday. I hope you're doing well. So, I want to talk about the last few weeks and how intense they have been energetically, and the anxiety in the collective was over the top. Um, and the guidance I received from my guides or source in terms of the anxiety, and every time I felt overwhelmed and anxiety in the last couple of days, I heard my guides asking me to connect with my body much more, right? So, what we learned quite often in childhood, that our emotions were not received, or they were wrong. We were wrong for feeling anger and pain and sorrow and frustration, right? So, what a lot of caretakers or parents do is to judge us, or we feel a sense of neglect because they couldn't fully deal with a feeling human being, which has to do with a lot of the times with the fact that they didn't learn it either. They didn't learn to take care of their emotions, sit with their emotions, tap into their body, question where they feel their emotions. And so, like, by the time we became so disconnected from our bodies that we today, as a society, as a collective, often try to manage these emotions on a mental level, on our with our minds and with our brains, to like find ways to navigate them. So I became so much aware of how I wanted to deal with emotions and fear and anxiety and anger the couple of weeks with my mind, like figuring out how to dissolve things with my mind. And while this is not a bad approach at all, it's also not helpful when we actually need to feel it in our bodies for the emotion to leave us again and to dissolve, right? So whenever I felt heightened anxiety, I was guided to tap into my body. And the funny thing is, I think the fear that a lot of people have is that the feeling, that the emotion is going to be overwhelming. But what happened lately with my anxiety is, whenever I came back into my body, I felt a sense of calmness. I felt a sense of relief. I tapped in with like the area, like my chest area, my heart area, and I didn't focus on my breathing like a lot of times we're advised to, because focusing on my breathing just makes me more anxious. But I started to like connect just with my breast, with my with my chest. I connected back to my chest, took a deep breath, and like started to feel and to tap in my body sensations. Like, how do my arms feel? Like, how's my chest feeling? Like, how's my stomach and how are my legs, right? And then I feel like doing some stretching, and I became aware of how often anxiety is taking place in our heads and taking place in our minds and taking place in our brain, trying to figure out how to deal with fear and anger, and how to find ways to dissolve anger and fear, and making it work with our minds. But our minds has never been the place where we actually feel emotions. It's just a place where we worry. And the moment I started to like tap into my body and trusting its guidance as well, trusting that it's going to guide me through the flow and the energy, because this energy is moving, it keeps coming, and it will go again, it will leave us again if we allow it. But if I keep stuck in my head thinking, how am I going to dissolve this? What's going to happen? Blah, 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 all the worst case scenarios, this energy can't really move through us. And I was reminded to come back to my center and also connect to this vessel, right? Because for whatever reason we feel anxious and fear in these times, I mean, these like are just very uncertain times, and things are eventually weird and scary and just unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. We never actually did. But this collective anxiety is felt by so many, and by me or by us connecting to our bodies, we give it the chance to move us through this. And again, instead of the emotion being overwhelming to me, it actually started to be less scary, because I felt tapping into my body, wow, I have a vessel. I'm not only my brain thinking all these worst case scenarios, I'm a vessel and I'm safe here. And it brought me away from my mind and into my body, and my body understood I'm actually safe. It's just your mind having all these fears, having all these worries, and having these ways where we try to dissolve fear and worry and anxiety with our brain, trying to find solution with our brain, while it's also a sensation that is felt in our bodies. And of course there are some other emotions that could be more intense, and still, if you let yourself feel it, knowingly that your body is moving you through this, and it will leave you again, that emotion will leave you again, and your body is able to transform that emotion into some knowledge and wisdom. And if we let it do this job, we come out on the other side wiser and smarter, and knowing that it's not going to hurt us, right? I mean, like fear and pain, these are all scary emotions, but they don't do us harm, right? These are just parts of the human journey, what we experience. And the moment I know, like, I'm safe, I can trust this process, my body is like doing so much and feeling all of this, sometimes more intense, sometimes less intense. If we let our bodies do that, instead of like our minds is constantly judging us, our brain is constantly like trying to find solutions, trying to find ways out of it without us feeling it, because we're so scared. We do the craziest and weird things to avoid feeling emotions. And if we have the courage to feel it, it will leave, and then it's gone. Then our mind is at peace and our bodies are at peace. But we can't feel emotions with our brains, because that's not where we feel emotions. We feel emotions with our bodies, with our chest, with our hearts, with all of our body, to move on from it. And then our body, our minds, and our brains want to judge that and want to say all these things. Why are you still here? And oh my god, you're so whiny, and why are you like still thinking about that person or grieving that, or why are you not much tougher and stronger, and whatever the heck, right? And if you can switch that off and come back to your center, come back to your chest, come back to all of your body, and let it just move through you, it will leave you again with much more ease, and with much less pain, and with much more grace and flow, and it will be much faster. Just a reminder on that Sunday. Much love to you. Thanks. Bye.